Resident Evil Biohazard.
Hey there, Garrison here. Alright, so I've been compiling this video together and I realized that I'm gonna have to do it in parts because there's just a lot of information to cover, a lot of different topics. Instead of covering my main topic, which I will be covering with, collaboration, I've decided to stick to some smaller parts of the story that I think also need some explaining. So today, we want to talk about, is that Chris? Before we do this, I want to get some general information about Chris. So let's take a look at Chris. The first time we see Chris is in Resident Evil 1 at the Spencer Mansion. This was in 1998 and Chris was age 25. The next appearance of Chris was at Rockford Island in Antarctica. This was in Resident Evil Code Veronica and took place later in 1998. We assume that Chris was still age 25. He may have had a birthday somewhere in between there, but we really don't know his date of birth. As you can see, Chris looks very similar to his original design. Short, dark hair. The next time we see Chris is in Umbrella Chronicles. This was during the fall of Umbrella and happened in 2003 when Chris was age 30. As you can see, yet again, looks very much the same. The only thing that really has changed is the amount of gear that he's carrying. The next time we see Chris, he's investigating the Spencer Mansion again. This occurred in 2006 when Chris was age 33. We can clearly notice now that Chris has been redesigned, but he still retains a lot of the general features that Chris had. The redesign made Chris a very bulky character, and by bulky I mean muscly. We've got a very, very muscular Chris now. On to Resident Evil 5. During the Kajuju event in 2009, Chris was age 36. Now this redesign actually caused a lot of controversy. People didn't understand why Chris was so bulky now, but you have to understand this guy's been through a lot and, fighting a lot of monsters and zombies and different creatures, and you would hope that he would bulk up a little bit, to protect himself. So hopefully that's what happened, and that's what I'm gonna say happened. But either way, Chris bulked up during this time period. Now we move on to Resident Evil 6. This happened in 2013, and Chris was age 40. As you can see from the picture, not much different from Resident Evil 5, except for the fact that, he's got a lot more stuff that he's carrying with him. The last photo we have of Chris before Resident Evil 7 was shown at the end of Resident Evil 6 and took place in 2014. Chris was age 41 at this point and heading to his next mission. Now we do have one more version of Chris to look at. Around the time that the first gameplay trailer for Resident Evil 7 was released in Japan, they also released another trailer that some people may have missed. This was a trailer for a movie that's not even out yet. It's called Resident Evil Vendetta, and we don't know exactly when it takes place, but it's rumored to take place in 2017. Either way, we know that this appearance of Chris shows that they're not redesigning his character. So this is what Chris will look like in Resident Evil Vendetta. As you can see, Chris is still working for the BSAA and is still very muscular. All hints point to the fact that this is the Chris from Resident Evil 6 and 5, only later in his life. Now some things about Chris's appearance that are common throughout the series, at least since his redesign. Chris always has dark brown hair. In some of the earlier games he may have had more of a reddish tint to his hair, but for the majority of the games, and since the redesign, he has had dark brown hair. Sometimes to the point in Resident Evil 5 where it seemed almost black. And in the Resident Evil Vendetta trailer we see that Chris's hair is very dark again. Another part of his redesign is that he has big ears. It's kind of a weird thing about his character, but if you look at the pictures, his ears just kind of stick out. It definitely is one of his defining features, besides his huge arms and muscles. Now, we see in Vendetta that he still has these bulging muscles, even though in some scenes he does look smaller than his Resident Evil 5 counterpart. He still is very, very bulky of a guy. So now let's talk about Redfield. This is Redfield from the ending of Resident Evil 7. Now at this point, in 2017, Chris would be about age 44. The first thing I want to point out is, I don't think this guy looks 44. He looks much younger than Chris would be. And although Chris isn't very old himself, this guy looks younger. Another thing I want to point out is the hair color. It's a light brown, almost a little bit dirty blonde. Now, Chris has never been seen with light hair. It's not part of his character. Even if they were trying to do a redesign, which they have before, and it doesn't look like they're doing now, but even if they were trying to do a redesign, it wouldn't make sense to make it that drastic of a redesign. You know, he's never had that light of hair. That's one of the big staple points for me. Number two, he's got a big nose. It's weird to say, but the character of Chris has always had, you know, a smaller nose, big ears. This character just doesn't look the same, and I mean, if you look at them side by side, they don't look the same at all. So we're gonna look at the voice actors for these characters. Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil Revelations, Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D, Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles, and possibly Resident Evil Vendetta, was played by Roger Craig Smith. All of them played by the same actor. And now we have an English trailer for Resident Evil Vendetta, but they have not released the voice acting cast except for the English actor for Leon. The voice actor for Chris still isn't present anywhere on the internet, but we do have an English trailer where we can hear their voices.
Not mine! God damn it, Leon!
Stop!
Rebecca!
And he does sound a lot more like the original Chris from Resident Evil 5. I can't prove that because this is just my opinion based on listening to the clip. You can make an opinion for yourself, but based on the clip, I would have to say that they're using the same voice actor from Resident Evil 5. Why does that matter? Because in Resident Evil 7, Redfield was played by David Vaughn VI. That's it. He's never been in a Resident Evil before, so why would they change the actor if they're going to keep the same actor for another series? Now, to come in, you could say that maybe Roger Craig Smith was busy and that he couldn't come in to record his lines for Chris. He is a very busy person. If you visit his IMDb page, you'll see that he is very, very busy. He has a lot of projects going on, but you know, he had time to come in and do stuff for the very recent Final Fantasy 15 game, and you have to imagine that he's being a professional, he's used to doing many recordings at once, and some of these recordings, you know, might be a lot, but this character of Redfield was a very small character, had a very, very minimal amount of lines. We had some dialogue, which we heard on the radio, and then we also had some dialogue, which at the end, you know, him talking to us and giving his name. So it's really not that much dialogue that he couldn't have come in and recorded that during his time. I mean, he's really busy of a man, but I found no evidence to prove that it was a conflict of schedule or a conflict of interest that led him to not do this part, which also leads us to my last point. Yeah, they basically tell you that this is not Chris, or that this Chris has ulterior motives. Now, on who this Chris is, there's a lot of speculation out there. Obviously, the helicopter he's flying away in has an Umbrella Corp symbol, but it also says Umbrella Corporation. There's two different companies working there. I'm not really sure. We're gonna save that for another video, but either way, that doesn't explain why Chris isn't with the BSAA anymore, when we know that in Vendetta he is with the BSAA. You know, a lot of people are speculating that this is a character related to Umbrella Corp. And if you go on to Resident Evil's website, and if you are part of the Resident Evil Ambassador program, you will notice that they have advertisements for 3 different sets of games. The HD remakes that they just released, Resident Evil 7, and Resident Evil Umbrella Corps. They are definitely pushing this game now for some reason, and a lot of people are thinking that the ending of this game might have something to do with Umbrella Corps. Now, another thing I want to point out is, in all of the pictures and videos that I could find of Umbrella Corps, they only referred to themselves as Umbrella Corps, or sometimes as Umbrella Co. They never referred to themselves as Umbrella Corporation. So we have a kind of conflict of interest here with this naming. It's kind of contradictory naming, having the Umbrella Corps logo and having the Umbrella Corporation name on the same thing, and the fact that it's blue also changes it too. It's possible that maybe this is a rebranding of, you know, the original Umbrella in in disguise. But, you know, we're gonna have to wait until this DLC comes out to find out exactly who this person is and where they're from. Now, I have some theories working on who this Redfield is. So this is only part 1. And I know it's a lot to process, but like I said, you know, that's why I'm splitting it up. In the next topic, we're gonna start talking about some actual events of Resident Evil 7. We're gonna talk about Ethan, and we're gonna talk about Mia, and we're gonna talk about the Bakers. And basically, we're gonna figure out what was going on with them at this time period. You know, try to figure out and dive deeper into their backstories and try to figure out where they're from. So that'll be the next video. So this video only involved Chris. We're gonna stop there, but like I said, subscribe and, you know, click the little bell icon and you'll be first to get notified when I do post the next video, which will be within the next few days. Like I said, it's a lot of information. It's hard to go over all this, and I just want to make sure that I'm thorough, and that's my main objective. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have any more information about Chris that, you know, maybe I didn't cover that might be you know, helpful to figuring out if this is Chris. So if there's anything you want to talk about, just pop down to the comments down there and just, you know, give me a shout out. All right. So that's all for today's video. Have a good one.